Hi, everybody, and welcome to the August 24th, 2023, last of the third quarter, last of the summer, your chance to talk about KubeStellar. Today, we have a couple of revisits on our agenda. I'll go ahead and share that now. And I'll get started with reading off of our contributor code of conduct. We are recording this. If you don't want to be on video, please don't. If you don't want to be recorded, please leave. If you are and just watch the replay online on YouTube in a few hours, please raise your hand if you have questions for any of the members that are talking, or if you'd like to add something to the agenda, go to kubestellar.io/join us to join. The link is right here. You can use join_us or join us without an underscore. Simply join the Google group, and then you'll have access to this particular community meeting note, and you'll get regular recurring meeting invites. So I'll read our contributor code of conduct. As contributors and maintainers in the CNCF community and in the interest of fostering an open and welcoming community, we pledge to respect all people who contribute through reporting issues, posting feature requests, updating documentation, submitting pull requests or patches, and other activities. We are committed to making participation in the CNCF community a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of level of experience, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, disability, personal appearance, body size, race, ethnicity, age, religion, or nationality. Our meeting today, that basically just says, be nice to everybody, please. Appreciate it. Okay, so today we have, let's see, we have Mike and we have Bob. Okay, so what we have up first is we'd like to get an update on logical clusters. I don't see any of the folks that are involved with that, but Bob and Mike, if you have any information you'd like to share about the work that you've done to either understand the space framework in more detail or get an idea of where we are along the journey to transitioning. I think you also did some work on changing our APIs from from Edge to KubeStellar.io. So if you maybe can make some comments about what it is what our latest developments are with the space framework and the API.
So regarding the API, yeah, we've converted from the, at least we've converted most of the references to the KCP.io API group over to the KubeStellar API group. So we are now, I believe, mostly independent from KCP in that regard. And with regard to the logical space work, Ezra just reposted in our Slack channel the link to his design document, and I just printed that out, and I'm going to go through it now. So Mike, I think, has probably gone into that a lot more.
He posted it in this private channel. I'm going to post it in the public channel right now.
Right.
Okay,
But
thank you, Bob.
I think that he's going to include a link to it in the Git repo.
Okay. Have you been surveying any of the issues or PRs as it relates, and do you have an understanding of where we are in terms of our percent completion, so to speak?
No, I don't yet. I started trying to correlate things yesterday.
Okay, good.
And discover what the dependencies are, and but I haven't gotten to the point yet where I know what the dependencies are yet, and I don't know what the gaps are yet either.
Okay. All right, so you're in the process of assessing that. That's
yeah,
good enough.
I'm putting together a spreadsheet to try to understand the relationships between the open items in that critical. I'm sorry, in the path for the September 15th release.
Yeah. Okay. I should probably, yeah. So we're going to be, so just as a note, I've asked the CNCF to postpone, and I think they were kind enough to oblige. We won't be targeting the sandbox application to be analyzed or assessed or voted on for September. the September 12th vote. This will, which would have resulted in a September 26th announcement of a decision. I've asked them to postpone that to November. It looks like it'll be more likely a December assessment and vote, and because of KubeCon, and that's fine. So we've given ourselves a little extra breathing room, turn the dial back in terms of pressure, and I think that's a good thing. I think everybody can breathe a little bit, being the end of summer and everybody's been working really hard. So I think that's cool. And thanks for bringing that to my attention, Bob, that we could actually do that. I appreciate that.
Sure. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, thanks for the update. Mike, any updates from you?
Yeah, I mean, there is some work in progress in starting to change the multi-cluster configuration management functionality to use this space framework. I started reviewing that. Realized I had a lot of questions. We really need to focus on producing a design document that users of the space framework can use. I've given them a lot of comments. I think it's not what we want exactly in particular for a larger campaign of trying to promote the idea of super namespaces upstream. I think that I think there's a road mapping exercise ahead. I think we don't necessarily have to make all of the changes we want immediately, but we should make some informed and considered plan that I think we don't have yet. So I'll stop there.
Bob, sorry. Bob, did you have a question?
Yeah. So actually, no, I just totally agree with Mike about, I think we need I hate to say it, a top-down design, which you may call a roadmap, as opposed to opening up a bunch of issues which may or may not really address. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to look at with this spreadsheet, but I totally endorse what Mike's saying there.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, I'm very happy that, that we could delay and not pressure ourselves into doing something that would have been, haphazard and I think irresponsible in the end, to our community. So I think it's great that we're taking this time to step back and do some more of the high level work that needs to be done in order to understand what direction we should take, rather than, like you say, opening a bunch of issues and just going at it in like a buckshot approach. So I'm really happy that this is the way we're approaching it now. Thank you. All right. Let's see. So let's move on. Kube-bind. Jun, you've got I think I've heard that you have a bunch of updates here.
Yeah, sure. So the first point is that I have a PR to Upstream Kube-bind to handle the cluster scope APIs. We received a detailed review from Stefan, where he raised a set of gaps we need to fill. I think, for example, the most significant gap is that we need to write end-to-end test for the cluster scope API objects. Another thing is, in my current implementation, I assume there's only one owner reference in each of the cluster scoped API objects, and that one is the one we used by Kube-bind. But as Stefan said, this is not safe. We need to handle that in a different way. So these are just two examples. So I'm working on that to try to bridge those gaps. That's the upstream review thing. Another thing is that today Kube-bind relies on a human interactive workflow to do the authentication, as well as the selection of resources to be bound. This thing needs to be automated if we want to use the Kube-bind in KubeStellar. So I'm already working on that, which is the first solution is to use some programmatic way to simulate the behavior of the browser so that we can automate the interaction during the browser.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I have.
Okay.
Say, Jun, is there any, or, regarding the authorization, authentication, that is there any future possibility of them implementing a two-part authentication?
What authentication?
Like a two-part authentication where you get sent a code and then you have to enter in the code, or you have to validate that you're actually human or whatever. So, because
Oh.
you're basically talking about writing a bot, right?
I see. I don't know. Today Kube-bind is not using two-factor authentication. I really don't know the question,
Okay.
the answer to the question.
Okay. Well, I hope not.
All right. To be ready for. We want to be ready. Probably. September was too soon. Okay. Good. All right. Jun, did I characterize this correctly? It's a Go module that you've been looking
Yeah,
at?
it's
Okay.
a Go module, right?
All right, great. Okay. All right. Next, anything else, John, you want to remark about on the community meeting?
No, that's all from my side.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Mike, you have anything you want to report? I know we've de-emphasized this recently, but anything on Helm charts or containerization you want to comment on?
Well, I can just reiterate the status.
Okay.
Right now, we've got a initial version of a manner of deploying, initial version of support for deploying the KubeStellar central components plus KCP as Kubernetes workload. So now you have two choices. The original choice is deploying these as bare processes on whatever machine you're running on. The other choice is deploying as workload in a kube cluster. We have more work we want to do. Currently, that workload is a single pod. We want to break it into a pod per process, which will be much more natural. For example, it'll integrate with the way everybody else expects logging to work. Today, it does not. And so that's all, work in progress. So the other point is right now, we do support, when you do this deployment, you tell it some kind of an external domain name that you expect the central components to be reached by clients outside the cluster. And we're going to add the support for clients inside the cluster, be able to reach this by a in-cluster domain name based on a service, a Kubernetes service object. Currently, it just uses the initial IP address of that one pod, which is not going to work if that pod ever gets destroyed and replaced. So that's another kind of important point of planned work. Again, so initial version is in release 0.60, and more work is in progress.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. I'll give an update quick, something I wanted to add on here. So I've been working on a brew formula for us, and to do so, I've been working. Last night I did a little bit more work on, what it would look like to exercise a brew formula from it in our examples to just to give an idea of how it works. And I bumped into a couple of different issues, but it just has to do with basically some assumptions we make about where our binaries and other configuration files are located in respect to the commands that we issue. I don't think it's anything difficult to overcome. It's just some configuration errata that needs to be taken care of, that we can supplement those commands with locations of where files are, or run those commands in specific places, and that's fine. Brew formula today I built was one for KubeStellar, one for KCP based on our dependency, and one for KCP's kubectl. Because they split out their kubectl and their main binary into two different releases in KCP. So to accommodate that, I have two different brew formulas for it. Each one of those carries dependencies for JQ, YQ, kubectl, etc. And the neat one with KCP, I was able to actually start KCP with the during the execution of the formula, which is pretty cool. So it takes a step out, and I'd like to do the same eventually with KubeStellar to run the containerized version, or the process version. I mean, depending on which way we want to go, I guess we could have two different formulas or two different ways to do it. But I've gotten so far as to get things initialized and be able to run a kubectl WS tree, and to see the ESPW created, and even to get. But when I get to a certain point, I can't move any further because the configuration for CRDs can't be imported, because of I think it's not ensure location. I think it's a NIT. But anyway, so there's some details in that PR. Mike and I have been going through it and reviewing it, but needless to say, it's been an interesting exercise. I've been enjoying it. So if anybody would like to take a look, the PR is open. And thanks for your help reviewing it, Mike.
You'd, if you're open for comments now,
Yeah.
or questions, actually. So I have a question for both you and Mike. Are you guys doing separate formulas and Helm charts for different cloud providers? For example, IBM's cloud is, quite a bit is different from, Azure and AWS. And also, if you're going on an OpenShift platform versus a Kubernetes, native, they have different artifacts, they have different, so you may need to have different charts.
Yeah, Mike's accommodating OpenShift and it's plain Kube at this point.
Okay.
Mike, anything else you want to comment on there? Brew is different.
So yeah, the support we have for deploying as Kubernetes workload does work for both Kubernetes and OpenShift. We do have specific support for the fact that OpenShift has its own concept, for example, of router and route, and the alternative is using ingress. But ultimately it is a choice. So Andy, in his design of the Brew package, has to figure out how to present that choice to the user of the Brew package.
Yep, that's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, because we have three set options if we want to do that. I'm not even sure we do, but I think the initialization process after Brew is installed, just basically pulling the packages down, is enough. And then from there, we can take over with the exercise of deployment, whether it be containerized or whether you go with a container version, deploy it as a workload, or deploy it as separate processes, right? I think it can serve both. So I don't know necessarily if we need to automate that part of it. But it's open for debate. I mean, it's in the PR. I put some initial, I built an MD, and actually a doxecutable, and the doxecutable GitHub action that would service it. So that's also in that. I just updated that PR last night to include those items. So if you want to review it, please take a look at it, Bob.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's take a quick look. We're at 22, so we got a fair amount of time. I don't know if we'll get through any of this because a lot of people are not here to represent themselves. I'm not going to touch the KCP decoupling stack because I think that's underrepresented here. And I know we've already commented on us having some degree of interaction with those folks offline. And to do some assessment and build some architecture diagrams. So there may not be much that we can do here, but we'll try to do our best to trudge through this. Okay, so KubeCon China. So June, John, can you give us an update as to where you are with your travel plans and when you plan to be on site? And
Yeah, I will be on site on September 25th, which is one day before the conference. And I'm doing the logistics stuff, including the air flight, the train, as well as the fee to the conference itself. So
Great.
those are being reported. So we are waiting for the date to be approaching.
Okay, can you now I know we've been waitlisted for our presentation, so we didn't get accepted right out of the gate. Has Yana or you been able to find any more information on the status or when indeed that might be reconsidered?
No, we haven't heard of any updates.
Okay, great. All right. So just FYI, the same presentation that is going to was to be given in China is supposed to be given in North America, and we should know North America, we get a decision on Monday, this coming Monday.
Mhm.
So depending on what the decision is there, we might need to build the presentation, whether it's needed in China or not. But we'll need it for North America. We'll see what comes through, okay?
Okay.
All right. I know there's a lot of activity with MCAD at the moment. There's some integration between MCAD and KubeStellar that's underway. The ability to dispatch workloads across multiple clusters using MCAD in an AI stack. So this is pretty cool. Stay tuned. There'll be more information about this partnership in the future. OpenZD, Mike, Ken in the Slack channel was supposed to reach out to you this week. Has he done so yet?
Not that I've noticed.
All right. Maybe maybe you can follow up with him to see if he needs our help or if he's gotten distracted.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. All right. 771, need a way to get intermediary nodes. Okay, so this is Kevin's not here today, so he's not represented. We can move past that. Argo CD, turn of the crank. What John, can you give us any update as to where we are with like 772 or 567 or any of that? Have you guys made any progress there?
I began to review the PR.
Okay.
Yeah, as for myself. As for the propagation of the back propagation of the status from a single workload execution cluster, I think there's some prerequisite, if my understanding is correct. So I think Mike will be finish that prerequisite first before he can take care of this. That's my understanding. Yeah, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. All right, Mike, any comments on those?
Not now, no.
Okay, that's fine. All right, 866. I know that we've got some work underway there. That's under review. I asked Yarrick and do I have to do this now? No. Okay. I asked Yarrick and Alexei to have a look at this issue, so we should see some review there soon. And draft change to downsync object selection. I think this was, I'm forgetting why this was necessary. This was part of the what predicate? PR.
Right. The point of this was to support the feature request from MCAD to
Right.
be able to be more discriminating about what's inside a namespace.
Yeah, so we don't have that link, do we? 866. I'm gonna put 866 in here so that oh, it is in there.
Yeah, it's right there.
Never mind. I'm sorry. I didn't read it. Okay, good. Okay, let's talk about in progress. All right. Any update here, Bob, on the WSL side? I mean, I know I saw some. You had a PR. You had a question for me. Anything else that you needed from us to continue?
No, I just need to add it into the document.
Okay.
Um,
All right. Cool.
so it'll be a little tab that sits inside that same required packages document, MD file.
Right.
So, yeah,
So it'll take its place alongside Windows here somewhere, right?
right.
Yeah. Remember, you have
So
recommended using an example down here, so make sure you cover both.
okay.
And my PR for for Brew. Yeah, my PR for Brew is going to split these out into two separate files, but for now it's not, so it's okay. I'll just rebase. It's not a big deal. So don't worry about me. Was what I'm mean. Don't forget. I forget I said anything.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Sure.
All right. 414. So I'm doing some work with Kubecolor, learning a lot. So Mike, thanks so much for your reviews. I think I got that last bit over the line for you. And I think, I know you're busy with other things today, but whenever, and I'm not pushing, I know there's other priorities, but I think I finally got what you meant, and went ahead and put in this last commit. I've been squashing a lot, but in this last commit, I think I got it over the line. I brought in over here on the base, yeah, on the root command. I brought this in. So see if that works for you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the guidance there. I really appreciate it. I think I'm starting to get it. I'm not going to claim that I know it all entirely yet. Okay. KubeStellar is a control plane for interplanetary. I know Kevin's not represented here, so we'll move on. For control plane for distributed observability, there was a blog post that's supposed to be posted, but we'll wait for Braulio to come back from vacation. He's not here to represent that. Documentation improvements, that's been largely tabled at the moment. Haven't had any work there, so I'm going to put this in to do. Helm chart, I know that's in progress. Containerization in progress. Franco will be back at the end of the month or beginning of next month. Supporting deployment into Kubernetes and Epic. We don't need to review that. Start drafting interface for summarization, replacing KubeStellar get log. Okay, that's something I've been doing. Where's the other? What was that kubectl plugin should be based on proper? Oh, okay. So are these interrelated? Oh wait, that's the PR that represents it. Never mind. And there's another PR. That's the Brew PR. Okay, cool. And then to do, that's this meeting. We're good. Version coordination. That's something I still haven't undertaken. Dev environment design implementation. Spraglio, feedback, kubectl. All right, these are on hold. Denaturing. All right, is there anything? Oh, there's some new items. Okay, maintain one list. Nope, nothing there to this. Okay, SBOM no longer. Update documentation and support for new selection criteria. Okay, this should go forward, but we didn't talk to Yana about it. All right, Mike, could you help me? I put a comment in here. Do you have any? First of all, I don't think this Go releaser. Well, actually, that is in use. Synchro image, make full. Okay, do you have any thoughts or ideas of how we might consolidate these? I do agree with you. I just don't know what you think is the right approach.
Oh, okay. It's been a while since I looked at it. I think I tried to write down in the proposed solution what to do. So, I think the issue is that for some of our builds, because in some cases we're building binaries that the user runs, and in other cases we're building container images, and a container image is not sensitive to the user's operating system, but the binary that they run is sensitive to the user's operating system. So what I think we need to do, just broadly qualitatively, is maintain a structured list of, or, a structured thing that's, you could think of it either as a list of operating system and instruction set pairs, or a mapping from instruction set to set of operating systems, however you want to think of it. But the point is that with one master list with that structure, then we can both build the container images, drive container image builds that we need, and drive binary builds that we need.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. My question is geared towards. So I've disabled create KubeStellar syncer image, so that's no longer in play. But so here we have a workflow for the Go releaser. And that has its own way of interpreting files, finding files. They have to be in a specific place for it to pick up. I guess this could be in the general GitHub repo, not necessarily in the workflows area. I can look into that. That's fine. And then this make release full. This is, the script that we run to make our releases, and this uses a certain set. So I'm wondering aloud, is this, to me, this just seems like all it would be is a text file with some, with some CSV, like for, that's, I mean, is that the way that you want to go? I mean, I'm fine with making it single, a single thing, but you can see right here, right? We run into, okay, so these are the pairs that we support, but then how do we, discriminate and say that's what all we need in the Go releaser and in, like you were just alluding to, right? And then this is in the release, we need more than that. So is it really worth the effort to make two different workflows run off the same file?
Okay, you reminded me of a couple of things. One is, we don't actually have exactly the same support set. I think where we support running the central binaries is perhaps somewhat distinct from where we support user commands. So for example, I know sometimes we build things for OS 390. Sometimes we build things for PowerPC. I forget exactly which why. If I recall correctly, let's see, the KCP server does not support PowerPC, but it does support OS 390. So that's
No, I think it's the other way around.
okay, fine.
Yeah, I think I've discovered that when I was working on here, I'll show you real quick. That was a
Doesn't matter.
gap.
I think the point
Yeah,
here
go
is
ahead.
that there's a distinction to be maintained between where the central components run and where the user runs his commands to manipulate the central components.
Right.
Because, right, kubectl and so on can access remote stuff. So, I guess this thing as written right now is too simplistic. It does need to recognize there are these two sets of places, okay?
Right.
But the overall point is right now we've got 3 copies of things. We shouldn't have multiple copies. We should have one copy that says, each of those 2 sets is what I'm saying, okay? And I don't think we need to, in this meeting, work out the engineering details, but I think that what we want to get to is one place we say, here are the places where here are the platforms where we support running the central components. And then another place we say, here are the platforms where we support running commands to manipulate these components. Say each of these things once and derive what we need from that.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going with it, is that, as like I said, this top one is no longer in play. So we already have 2 of something, 2 different things, one of each instance. And why would we make another reference for that? I don't know what I'm saying is I don't know if the reward is worth the effort. You know what I mean? Because I think we already have just 2 places.
This was written before we started the containerization work, so now we've got more multiplicity than appears in this. Okay. So this is old. This needs review. Okay. But I think we still have an issue. The other thing is, I thought last time we were talking about it, you decided you didn't like the Go releaser. So that's another relevant fact. But anyway,
Yeah,
this
I don't
updating.
like it specifically just for Syncer itself. I mean, we already cover that it was well intended, but I don't think we need it. Again, like it's more overhead.
Okay. So you mean specifically you don't like it for the syncer? Okay, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we might use it for the releasing the KubeStellar release. All right.
Right.
Anyway, the point is this is a little bit outdated and underinformed. This needs revision.
Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah. I'm gonna leave that in the new state. Well, you know what? I'm gonna actually put it on hold. Whoops. Okay. Yeah. When we have more than two of a single instance, then I'm more than happy to recognize that we need something that's more central. But if it's one each, then I can't really see the reason to work on it. But I'll work on it if we find more instances. All right. I don't know what this is. Can you explain where the S-bomb is? That we have an S-bomb?
Sure.
I'm not even sure.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something we haven't talked much about. We did discuss a little bit in the previous meeting, I thought. But for building the sinker image,
Mhm.
there is we're using a Co, if I recall it correctly.
Mhm.
And Co has the ability to generate a software bill of materials, and we're currently telling it not to. I think that was put in there in early days because there was a problem. But now that problem is gone, and we can stop suppressing the generation of the software bill of materials.
Cool.
And I think in our previous discussion, we agreed that we do want to be getting into the business of providing a software bill of materials. So this is just saying we should stop stopping it and
I see.
get on with what we can do.
Great. Okay. That's good news. Bob?
Yeah, so I've given some learning assignments from IBM, having to go through the annual certification for the business conduct
Yeah.
guidelines and
Yeah.
security and stuff like that. And the security module that I just took yesterday specifically said you shouldn't be doing software bill of materials because it's a entry point for hacking.
Really? I thought that was a supported what do you call it?
Yeah,
Artifact that
I'll
lets
try to
people.
find the reference and
Yeah.
I'll try to find the particular reference to it and let you know about it.
Yeah, that's
So this
interesting
one's
because I thought secure people like software bill of materials
yeah.
because it makes it easier to analyze the images.
Yeah, that's the problem, was that it makes it easier to identify what
Vulnerability.
all the components, and if you publish what all the components are, then people can, hackers can potentially identify vulnerabilities.
All right, well, we should get our advisors to get their act together because like I said, I heard the opposite. So I can understand the arguments in both directions. We should get our advisors together and see if we can get some agreement.
Yeah, I'll find I'll see if I can find the time stamp in the recording and the particular, course material and let you know what it is.
Yeah, this is good. And while you're doing that, I mean, I know people that are actually actively analyzing these things, and yeah, I would just leave it at that. I mean, I know people that are actively analyzing these to figure out if their estate is compromised. So this is really
Right, so, for example,
big news.
Quay analyzes our images already without the S-bombs, right? So
Yeah.
I can see the argument that
When you need it.
the
Yeah.
analyzer, the defender should not rely on this optional information, which might be a lie anyway. The defender should be more self-reliant. I can understand that argument.
All right, so Bob, I'm going to throw this in architecture discussion, and just to say it needs discussion. So if you wouldn't mind chiming in, that'd be great. Keep everything on the open source, please. Okay. Update documentation, support for new. Okay, that's Yana. All right. Denaturing view, move beyond. Okay. Mike, that's a question. I know you probably haven't had time to do this, but I'll follow up anyway. How has your work been going in this space where you talked about potential for support for internal as OCM?
Yeah, so I looked at it very briefly. They do have a proposal for a cluster data type.
Okay.
I also I joined their community meeting this week and queried
Oh.
to get an understanding of the existing cluster properties API. They call it the About API. And I had realized I had misunderstood it earlier. Its purpose is not to supplant the inspection or I would say inspection from outside. The observation that they made is simply that Kubernetes today has no standard way for stuff in the cluster to inquire about the cluster. So it's more of an introspection support is the intent.
Okay. Okay.
Right? And they confirmed that the direction they want to go to is to make these properties available for inspection from outside through their inventory API. So overall, it's aligned with our thinking. I was a little surprised to see, actually was interested to see that some of the information in the example that they showed was the kind of information that MCAD returns about a cluster.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it. It's a subset. Well, actually, it's not. Yes, yeah, I think it was a subset. They did not have GPUs. They did have memory and CPU totals, which are interestingly problematic. But MCAD is dealing with that. So I'll stop there. That's what I have for now.
Okay. All right, good. All right, so then it's good to hear that you made some some advances in terms of your understanding and getting some information. So that's great. I couldn't ask for any more there. That's good. Okay, cool. All right, I think we can close a bit early here. You know, the triage we didn't. I think that's enough. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add before we close? All right, great. Okay, thanks everybody. See you again in 2 weeks. We'll probably have a few more people on the call as everybody be back from vacation. Have a great great couple weeks here. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.